Global power struggles. Is the United States losing its grip on economic dominance? A world in flux, the battle for economic control. For decades, the United States has been the undisputed economic powerhouse of the world, controlling global trade, financial systems, and even military intervention to maintain its dominance. But the tides are shifting. The rise of alternative economic powers, growing resentment against US financial control, and strategic moves by BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, suggest a new world order could be emerging. Is the United States still the most aggressive force in global economics? Or are we witnessing the beginning of the end of American economic hegemony? How the United States became the global economic powerhouse. The United States hasn't just dominated the world with military power, it has also built an economic empire through strategic policies, financial control, and aggressive trade tactics. Here's how. The dollar as a global weapon. The United States dollar remains the world's reserve currency, meaning almost every major international transaction requires dollars. This allows the United States to control financial systems, enforce sanctions, and influence global markets. Sanctions as a control mechanism. If a country opposes United States policies, it risks being cut off from SWIFT, the global banking system, and facing crushing sanctions. Russia, Iran, and Venezuela have all been victims of this economic warfare. Trade manipulation and tariffs. The United States uses tariffs to punish or control economic rivals, as seen in the ongoing United States-China trade war and new policies targeting Canada and Mexico. Tech and supply chain domination. American tech giants like Google, Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon hold a monopoly over global digital infrastructure, giving the United States an edge in both commerce and surveillance. Military-backed economic power. With over 750 military bases worldwide, the United States ensures that economic defiance can be met with force if necessary. For years, these tactics have worked, but now the world is fighting back. The rise of BRICS. The BRICS alliance is aggressively pushing for a multipolar world, one where the United States no longer dictates economic policies. Their main strategy: de-dollarization. BRICS members are ditching the US dollar in favor of local currencies for trade. China and Russia are leading the charge in creating alternative financial systems outside of Western influence. Massive gold purchases suggest a loss of confidence in the US dollar's stability. The US isn't taking this lightly. Trump has already threatened 100% tariffs on BRICS countries if they try to undermine the dollar. But with China's growing economy, Russia's resource control, and India's expanding markets, this battle is just getting started. The United States is fighting to maintain control over its position in the global economy. In the last 60 days, the United States has doubled down on aggressive economic strategies to prevent losing its grip on global financial dominance. The Biden administration and Trump's campaign have both signaled that US trade policies are going to become even more aggressive. New tariffs of 25% have been slapped on Canada and Mexico, while China is once again in the crosshairs of US trade policies. Economic sanctions are expanding. Russia has faced additional frozen assets and financial blockades, while Iran and Venezuela are still under some of the most restrictive sanctions in modern history. Any country that challenges the US financially risks economic strangulation. Military influence as economic leverage. From Ukraine to Taiwan, the US is using its military alliances to reinforce economic control. Supporting Ukraine against Russia is as much about protecting democracy as it is about weakening Russia's economic influence in Europe. Similarly, US support for Taiwan is designed to counter China's growing dominance over global tech supply chains. Blocking China from tech dominance. The US has imposed strict bans on China's access to advanced semiconductor technology. Nvidia and other American companies are reshoring their production back to the US to reduce dependence on China. So we stand at the dawn of what might be a new global economic era. The dynamics are shifting and, well, the traditional power structures are being questioned. The world is watching and, the future is uncertain but full of possibilities. For the first time in modern history, the United States is facing legitimate competition for global economic leadership. While it still holds major advantages, its aggressive economic policies are pushing other nations to find alternatives. If BRICS successfully creates an alternative to the US dollar, global economic power will shift permanently. If China continues to build trade partnerships outside of Western influence, it could weaken US economic leverage. If the US keeps using tariffs and sanctions aggressively, it might backfire and accelerate de-dollarization. Final thought: the US won't surrender its economic throne easily. America has spent decades building an empire of financial influence, and it won't give it up without a fight. The next few years will determine whether the US maintains control or if the world finally breaks free from its economic dominance. One thing is certain: the battle for global economic control is far from over. Final thought: the US won't surrender its economic throne easily. America has spent decades building an empire of financial influence, and it won't give it up without a fight. The next few years will determine whether the US maintains control or if the world finally breaks free from its economic dominance. One thing is certain: the battle for global economic control is far from over. What do you think? Will the US remain the dominant global economic power, or are we watching the birth of a new world order? Drop your thoughts in the comments.